lower left-hand corner of the map, playing as the blue Protoss. This is Grubby.
Is it Patrice? Is that why you don't want to say what it is?
No, it's Paul.
It's Paul?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Patrice. Who do we got up here on the top right?
Over here, in the top right, Mr. J.P. McDaniels. This is Fanatics Oz. Now, this is a recent swap for Oz. Previously, we saw him playing for FXO. Also, he's Red Protoss, if you didn't catch that. And now, he's recently made the hop over to Fnatic.
And at first glance, a lot of you might be thinking, well, Oz is just going to win this 2-0. I don't know if it's that
Grubby's
cut and
been
dry.
doing
Yeah,
some sick stuff.
Grubby is a very, very good player, especially in the PvP matchup. I would say it's probably one of his best matchups right now. But we'll see how it goes here. He qualified, of course, from the European region. He did qualify out of the losers bracket there up against Bling. Was able to take him out and eliminate Bling from the tournament. However, he still made it through because we had a lot of replacements here. But I heard you guys casted Idra against Zaka right before this.
Yep.
And a quick 2-0 there for Zaka, so Idra already finds himself now in the losers bracket.
Yeah, I mean, we can say that it was like a quick 2-0, but I mean, Idra did what he could. Both of the games were, within inches of him being able to take them and thus leave the series.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I mean, Zaka has some great decision making. He knows that he kind of had this like tier broken out of like, okay, first I'm going to try this, and if that fails, I have the second thing and this third thing, like already ready to go. It wasn't something where it was reactive, it was just automatic, if A, then B.
Right. I do also want to mention that Oz actually chose Grubby here as the lower seeded players chose 1 through 16. Anyone outside of that were chosen by those players. So Oz thinks that Grubby is going to be a little bit of a weak player. He's getting a very late gas here, just sending his first probe. And Oz is actually a Protoss player who's been experimenting, as far as I know, a lot of Koreans have been over on the Korean server with a fast expansion type of build. I really want to see someone try to pull it off. I believe Oz tried against Parting in the GSL round of 8, and it almost worked, but Parting was able to scout it and take him out pretty easily.
And over here we see both of the players pretty much going for essentially the same thing, although we actually see that second gas just about finished up for Oz. So slightly slower gas here. I actually saw Grubby playing ladder a little bit earlier today, and he was only getting one Stalker, and then immediately running up with his first Zealot and first Stalker to below his opponent's base, and trying to place down a pylon as close as he could to their base, and then simply just warping in Zealots. Like, he just adds on a few more gateways and goes Zealots. But we can see that he's not doing that this time, as he's got his Robo out.
Got 2 chrono boosted Stalkers out here for Oz, going for a very quick harassment. And Grubby only has 1 Zealot and, one Zealot and 1 Stalker out right now, going for that quick Robo Bay. Most likely will add on that Immortal very quickly. Will it be before Observer? That's what we're about to find out. Typically, you really don't want to do that unless your opponent gives you good reason to. Here in the center of the map, we see the 2 Zealots now doing a pretty good amount of damage, taking out only 12 HP there and none on that Stalker. But now, since that probe scouts these 2 Stalkers of Oz, he is going to fall back. And Oz is actually being very aggressive here to start things off with. And back home, we can see him actually starting the Twilight Council to go ahead and get Blink.
And if he's able to finish it off and get aggressive, make good use of that, he's going to be in a pretty good spot. Now, I want to see Grubby try to do something a bit more aggressive, right? Take advantage of that before Oz can really find somewhere where he's able to out-micro his opponent.
Right.
Oh man, we see one of those Zealots getting up the ramp, able to get into Grubby's worker line up there. Get a little bit of information.
And he could possibly kill one of these probes in here.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
That Stalker's going to clean it up. And once again, Oz trying to break up the ramp. The force field comes just in time. And with that, an Immortal is going to be out in a second. Looks like Oz is going for that Robotics Bay Blink style play. There is so much area here to blink up into the main. For Oz, it is really a great choice on a map like Antigua Shipyard.
Oh, wow. And now as we see this Immortal come out, that's almost undoubtedly going to stop Oz's aggression. He's not going to be able to keep this up. He doesn't have the production to do it. Doesn't have enough units out there anyway. Now we can actually see him being chased away already. That Immortal just hailing down from the back lines, finishing off those units.
Yeah, and right now Grubby's in a pretty good spot. Blink is only halfway complete. You can even see a Warp Prism started here, as well as a Twilight Council of his own, and immediately getting blinked.
Ooh,
A very, very safe opening from Grubby, but it's going to work very, very well against Oz.
I really like the Warp Prism. Getting the Warp Prism out there will be very interesting. I don't think that Oz is going to exactly see that coming. Now, Oz, we see he took the gamble, right? He's the one that threw down his Nexus first, and this is always something we hear people talk about in PvP, where just taking that first Nexus just puts you so many minerals behind, and really you only need to be a couple units behind to lose a mirror match.
And Grubby's actually in a great position here. No probe sent, and that is because he is using this Warp Prism as his main warp-in tool. He's going to take the Xel'Naga Tower and probably just fall back in the middle to bolster his forces up here. Blink is finished right now for Oz, but only about halfway for Grubby. And this pylon right now for Oz is going to really, really do well. But here we go, a little bit of engagement. Ooh, Oz is going to try and take out that stalker and blink back right afterwards. A force filter now just a little bit late.
Now, just barely there, Oz was actually able to escape, I believe, just about unscathed. He took a little bit of hull damage on one of those. Oh, man. Immortals wreck Stalkers, just in case you were wondering.
Yeah. And right now, with this expansion being up for Oz, Grubby really needs to put on the pressure. He cannot allow his opponent to get a huge lead. Already with a little bit one in the probe advantage. Blink seconds from being finished there. There's a big blink forward, taking out a lot of those Stalkers. A miss blink from Oz, but here comes the force fields. He gets one of those sentries, still has 2 remaining. This one Immortal is going to deal so much damage there. And the force field, the force field actually will not block it. He's having to pull probes here. He's also in the main now with a Warp Prism warping and some Zealots. Nice. Grubby is doing so well right now against the newest member of Fnatic in Oz.
Man, such a great job from Grubby. Really heading up with that multi-pronged attack. That Warp Prism was just so genius, and really that's going to be the end of this. Now, we see that Immortal go down, but really the game is pretty much already over here. Oz down to only 21 food remaining. Really trying to hang on in any way he can. Now, those Zealots are still decimating the main as well.
Everything is.
He's also got Stalkers up there. What an impressive play from Grubby.
Beautiful play from Grubby there. 7 probes right now here, and Grubby is still continuing to control. Good game. Grubby taking game 1 over Oz, and quite the upset there. That attack was so perfectly executed from Grubby that I think Oz was just caught off guard. I don't think Oz expected Grubby to be this damn good.
Well, maybe he also didn't expect Grubby to get so aggressive, like have a super aggressive strategy. Now, Oz would have been in a much better defensive position had he not gotten that one misblink. Right. That lost him 3 or 4 Stalkers right there alone, because he not only did he not blink forward, he actually blinked a little bit backwards.
Right.
And it was right after Grubby blinked forwards onto him, so it's
Yeah, and even though he still had that Immortal up, so, I mean, regardless of the bad blink, he could have been just taking out so much more after that. But, man, that was a very quick 10-minute game there. It is a PvP, so it's going to be quick regardless. But I got to say, I don't think Oz has tried that build now twice that I've seen, and it really does not work out that well. If you devote so many minerals to that Nexus, 400 of course, that you simply cannot stop an attack like that. Grubby saw it with the Observer and knew that he was in the lead army size-wise, and he just went for it.
Yeah, it's a tough spot for Oz to be in, because a lot of the time if we see somebody successfully get up that Nexus and hold it and be able to really take advantage of the macro there, then ultimately they're going to win out, right? Because in PvP, if you have more minerals, over time you should just win.
Right.
Because the units cost so many minerals anyway.
Well, I'm wondering what our next map is going to be, as it doesn't really change too much, but some maps are just generally better for the Blink Stalker style of play that Oz was going for there, but really couldn't get to that point in the game where it's going to put him in such a great spot that he will be able to harass that.
That fast Immortal, man, it can just destroy any chance at sticking with Stalkers.
Absolutely. It is going to be Daybreak. And as we take a look here, let me make sure both players are ready, as we are getting them in the game. What do you think about Daybreak, Rob?
I'm thinking that hopefully this will cause both players to do something a little more macro-oriented, because we don't get to see too many antics beyond the 1.5 base in PvP. The ground travel time is relatively long, although we did just see cross positions on the previous map as well. So, I mean, I don't know. I think that ultimately, all the time in PvP, one player is going to get aggressive, and maybe the other player is just going to expand and lose.
Yeah, you can see right there, Oz is at 78% in the PvP matchup with Grubby